Hello, hello. Oh no, I just lost him. Hello. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right.
Hey, is this better?
Yes, I can hear you. I
Okay,
can see you. Awesome. I
perfect.
was
Sorry, I was
saying,
having some issue.
that's fine. It's fine. I was saying congratulations for completing the two projects. Uh,
Thank you. Yeah.
so how are
Uh,
you feeling with the projects? I mean, it was a pretty quick pace, but are you liking the projects or liking the videos? How are you feeling?
yeah, I think it's pretty good so far. I'm learning. The first one was kind of easy because, like I said, I knew like SQL a little bit, and
Right,
then the Cassandra one. I mean, it was just not a very difficult project. Like
right,
I think it's a smaller project than the first one. I'm kind of okay with that. Yeah, I'm just like now doing the whole data warehouse thing on
right.
AWS. I think I'm just gonna get started with that project this week. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. It's like new to me. I've never used AWS.
Right,
Um, so yeah, actually, I was hoping to just ask you like, or have a discussion about some of the concepts around AWS, like,
right.
um, which are like new to me. So I guess the first thing I was having some issues with the connection. I sent you this link that I made. I don't know if you got to see it, but basically, what I was trying to do is figure out if I can, like, if I have to pass in the access key to every resource that I make, or do you know if there's any way where I can just pass that in, um, and it kind of stays for all the resources? Do you have any idea?
I don't know for sure, but I was looking into the question and
Yeah.
I came to an article that I'm going to share with you,
Okay.
uh, which I think does a pretty good job explaining like the differences. Oh no, can you? Okay, yeah. I thought I lost you for a second. Uh, with the difference between like the session and the resource and client,
Okay.
and yeah, basically like what it says is like it creates like
It says it stores configuration information, but for some reason it's actually not storing that information. I don't know what's going on. That's what I was
right,
trying to do. Like, yeah, to store the config so that every time. So see here, like in this page that you're showing, when it says S3
right,
equals photo3 resource, like they're
right,
not specifying the key and the secret as a parameter to the resource, right?
right.
Yeah.
For
So I
example,
was
here in this one, you are specifying it right here.
Yeah, and this works fine, but I'm just trying to figure out how to set it up so that I can just create a resource without specifying. And yeah, I couldn't figure that out. Well, I
Right,
can do it on my local machine. Like if I use the command line interface for
right,
AWS, then it lets you configure and it creates in your home directory like a config file where it stores this
right.
stuff. Yeah, so I don't know, maybe I can just do that. But yeah, I was just wondering if you like knew anything about that.
Not sure, but let me ask around. And basically, what you want to do is how can you run this? Well, basically, running this code right that you have over here, because it is
Yeah, or like how can I create resources without having to pass in my keys as a parameter to every single resource that I create.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay, I'll ask around. I'll ask around. I have this link, and I'll ask around and to see if I can come up with that information for sure.
That sounds awesome. But yeah, otherwise, I was just hoping like maybe if we could just have a little bit of a general discussion around some like AWS and Redshift concepts. Like I just like I don't know. Can you like maybe just try to explain briefly like what is Redshift?
For sure. So, first, let me try to see what understanding you have about Redshift.
So I completed that the lessons on Redshift, and I went through the I can create a database and everything. So I got up to the project part. I
Right.
completed this lesson 3. Yeah, that's my understanding so far.
Okay. Like, how do you understand the concept of Redshift?
Oh, so I understand it basically as, yeah, I don't really know. It's like a service, a managed service that allows you to create databases, and then it automatically takes care of like distributing the data in an optimal way, something like that.
Right. So yeah, I mean, it is a service, but you have to think more of it as a computer. So you basically what you're buying, you're buying computers,
Yeah,
and I think there's a pretty cool diagram that teacher shows, and but I don't remember on what lesson. Um, I will need to look for it, but that
that's fine. I was just wondering if, yeah, just like at a basic level, like just, yeah, to have a discussion about it. Yeah, it doesn't, yeah, I can, you can share the diagram
no, it's fine,
later.
it's fine. So basically, um, so both S3 and Redshift, you're buying
Yeah.
computing power, basically.
Okay.
So you're buying yeah, you're buying computing power. Now the difference between an S3 is basically what you're doing is as if you were buying hard disk drives. I mean, obviously, like using
The
as an
storage,
yeah,
right?
you're buying just
Yeah.
storage. And the thing with
Yeah.
Redshift is that what you're buying is not just the storage, but
Yeah.
you're buying like a super powerful computer that basically can distribute among different data. How can I express? I'm missing the
Nodes.
word. Yeah, among different nodes, like you can distribute among different nodes. So basically, it can take care of some part of the configuration for you, and you can use the same computer to process whatever data you fit into it. Whereas with S3, you're just buying some storage. It's like the main difference that I see. But you're basically buying computing power. That's
Okay.
the service itself.
Okay. Because like Redshift is like way more expensive than S3.
Right,
Like
right.
S3 is like almost free if you don't use it much. It's very cheap, but Redshift is like really expensive. I think if I don't shut it down, I pay like 50 cents per hour or
For
something.
sure, for sure. Yes, and the thing is that with Redshift, and it's going to be much clearer once you start doing the data lakes, for example, because the data lake, I think it's everything's stored in Redshift. Uh,
Okay. Okay.
so the thing is that it will take care of some part of the data pipeline. It will take care of some part of it, like it will take it out of your hands in terms like you can set it up automatically, whereas with S3 you like the way you store the data is the way you have it, and
Oh, okay.
with S3 you will be able to configure it some way that it will know automatically what to do depending on what sort of data it receives. So it has some processing power, a lot of processing power, whereas with S3 you don't have that.
Okay. Got it. That makes sense. And then like, do you know what is the meaning of like a node and a cluster? Because we're configuring, it says like we have to create a cluster. Like what does that mean when we create a cluster?
So yeah, I knew the difference the first time that I took the course.
Sure.
Right now, I'm pretty sure I have a video lesson on that.
Okay.
I can share the resource with you. I remember myself struggling with that same concept when I first went through the course.
Because the
Um,
main thing we're doing every time is like we're creating a cluster, and then after we use it, we delete the cluster, right? So I was just wondering, like, what is a cluster? I didn't understand that concept.
right. So I think a cluster, it's you have like a set of machines. So the cool thing about
Okay.
this is that uh, each machine, for example, you have one cluster, and one cluster is composed about with four nodes, four nodes, four nodes, four nodes, something along those lines. So each of those
Okay.
nodes is going to take care of some part of the of processing your data simultaneously. So you're not like Redshift is not like you're buying just one computer. It's like if you're having four computers, or depending on how many nodes you have, and each node is going to simultaneously be processing your data. So
Okay.
so it's not like one computer processing the whole thing. So you're like, depending on how many nodes you have, each node is going to be processing a certain column. So they're going to be processed at the same time instead of having
Okay.
one computing processing the whole thing. So that's why
Okay.
you have a cluster in reality. You have one Redshift, and depending how many nodes, it's like how many virtual computers you have that are simultaneously processing your data.
Okay. Okay. Got
So,
it.
so you can load like a table like super quickly. But I'm pretty sure I have a resource on that like goes more into depth. So let
That
me
would
look
be
for that.
cool. Yeah. Okay. And then the other thing I wanted to ask you about was the project, the data warehouse project.
Right.
So I haven't really started it yet. I mean, I just finished the lessons and I started looking at the description, but it basically looks like the same as the first project, the
Right.
Postgres project, but we have to implement it in Redshift. Is that right? Like, is it exactly the same?
Um, I mean, yeah, and in terms of like it's the same company, it has like the same
And the logic
circumstances. The
and
logic is
stuff.
pretty straightforward, yeah, because you're
Okay.
basically loading from S3. That would be like the main difference because I think
Yeah.
last time like you were given the files or something along those lines.
So I
And
could reuse like some of the tables from the first exercise, the first project, or would that not work?
um, I don't. Maybe. I mean, let me
Okay,
see
try it out.
the workspace. Mm,
Also, I noticed that like there are no notebooks in this workspace. It's just based on like the Python files. Like, yeah, I didn't
right,
understand
right.
why did we have notebooks in the first project?
I
Was it
think
just to make
yeah.
it easier to
Yes, for
understand?
sure, for sure. It's to
Okay.
make it easier and like if you like this is the first time you're creating an ETL. Like
Yeah.
the first you Python notebook like basically tells you step by step what to do, and
Right.
whereas some people will have difficulty following the logic of an ETL file. But yeah,
Yeah.
um,
So I could create a notebook if I want,
for
right?
sure.
For
Yes,
to
for
help.
sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
And okay. And yeah, it has like much less of the starter code here. Like the
Right.
ETL and is yeah, it's just empty functions in the ETL.
Right. Um, so yeah, I mean the logic is pretty much the same. I don't remember if in the first project you were supposed to create the staging tables, or you're directly loaded from from wherever you had your data
Oh, we
into.
directly loaded. Yeah.
You're
Sorry,
right.
what is the staging table?
So basically, you have to create a staging table.
Okay,
Uh,
what is that?
um, and it's in the diagram that I'm going to send to you. So
Okay.
basically, you can receive your data like in different formats. So what you want to do is make sure that once you gather all your data um, that you have it in a place where you control where you already pre-process it, so that you control like the different data types and how you want to um, how you want to create the tables. And once you have it in this staging in this staging part of the process, then you're going to create it. You're going to pass that data into the table itself. So for example, right here. we created staging events and staging songs tables. So basically here I'm loading like all the data that I'm going to use to create my relation database. I'm loading into
Yeah.
tables, and here I'm doing two tables. I'm just making sure that all the data that I received, that it has the correct data types, that it's like a pre-processing part of it. And so what I'm doing from
Okay.
here, so I to in order to populate my final tables that I'm going to use for analysis, uh,
Yeah.
I can just take all the data from these two tables, and I already pre-processed, and I know I know the data types, and I know like everything is processed nicely.
So in the first project, we did the processing in Python. Like we created a pandas data frame, and then we did the processing using Python, and then we inserted, like we read the CSV file into a data frame in pandas,
Right.
and then we did some processing. Like for example, you extract the date, time, and some different things, and then we just insert the processed the pandas data frame into directly into the table.
Right, you had to create an extra column, for example, and
But we created all that in
in the
the
data frame.
in the data frame. Yeah. So here, instead of the data frame, we use the staging table. Is
Yeah,
this right?
it's basically what we're doing here. So let me
Okay.
see if I have it, because this just creates a table, and then like this. Okay.
Do you know why we can't just create a data frame to do it here? Like, why can't we do this in the same way that we did the first project? Do you know, like, what the
I think this would be more suited to having data from different sources and different formats.
Okay.
Um, because you will have a specific way of dealing. Um, for example, let's say like if you have a certain data that comes from a JSON file, and other data that comes from, I don't know, like CSV file or whatever. Like in the
Yeah.
ETL, you can have a way of saying, okay, if it's JSON, do this with it, but at the end put it
Yeah.
in this table. And if it's CSV, do something with it, but at the end pre-process it so
Okay.
that I have it in the same table. So
Okay.
so you know
Got
that it doesn't matter like what source does it came from.
it.
At the
Yeah.
end, you already have like a pipeline for that, and it's going to be at the end in the staging table, where you know that everything in the staging table is just as you want it, but
Right.
it's not suited for analysis because it's not like a relational database, but it's where you have all your columns nicely accommodated. Um,
Okay. Makes sense. Um,
so yeah,
okay. So this is that the one we did in project one, it only makes sense if you have a single like data source.
like if it's going to be super consistent, like
Yeah.
yeah, like you know what sort of data you're getting for sure.
Okay. Cool.
But
Um,
I'm going to look for that other resource that I told you, because he has the same thing. It like tells you all about the clusters and the nodes. It tells you all
okay.
about why using a staging table.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'd love to read that. Cool. I guess the last thing I wanted to ask was about the project submission. Like, do you
Right,
know if it allows you to submit so far I've just been using the workspace, but it also allows you to submit it using like a GitHub link.
right.
Does it make any difference? Like, or is it just the same? I can
No,
do whatever I want.
yeah, you can do whatever you want. I mean, you can just download the files, upload them to
Yeah.
GitHub, and at the end just share the link, or you can just submit
And
them
do you
by your.
recommend putting these projects on like your
Yeah,
GitHub?
for sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Okay.
they're yours. They're yours, and they're your portfolio now.
Yeah.
So for
Okay.
sure,
So maybe I'll do that this time. Just so that yeah, so that it's there on GitHub
for
also.
sure. Yeah, feel free to do that. Absolutely.
And but when I submit it on GitHub, I should like hide. I should not submit this CFG file. Do you know?
Um, I don't.
Because that has
Oops.
my
Yeah,
access to.
your credentials. Uh,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, I mean, don't upload it. Don't upload this file to GitHub, obviously. Or if you
yeah.
upload it, just like put some X's. I mean, they don't need your credentials to run it. So
That's what I was asking. When they grade the project, they don't need my credentials, right?
no, they don't need your credentials at all.
Okay.
So it's just fine.
Okay. Yeah. So then I won't include
Yeah,
this
actually,
information.
if you submit the project from
Yeah.
here from the workspace, you can like X them first if you want to
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
before
Okay.
submitting it.
Cool. Makes sense. Okay,
Awesome.
that's pretty much all the questions I had. Yeah, things are going well. Yeah,
Awesome, Nikhil. So I have homework from you. I'm going to I already posted this question on the forum that I have with other mentors, so to see
perfect.
what other
Yeah,
question what other feedback they can give, and I'm going
yeah,
to share the diagram that I have on the clusters and nodes. That's going to make it much clearer. And I have a video on why using staging tables at all. So I'm going to send those three
that would
resources
be
to you,
awesome. Yeah.
and hopefully it will help you.
Okay, thank you so much.
It was great talking to you. Once
You
again,
too.
congratulations. The pace you're going through, and with a full-time job, I mean, I think it's pretty impressive. So
Thank
congratulations
you.
on that.
Thanks a lot, man. See ya.
Have a good weekend.
You too.